Hey guys, Tammy Trayer, Mountain Woman Journals here. We are working on the survival series. This is number 2. Last week we started and I showed you the contents of my pack. This week we're going to talk about fire and various fire starting methods. I am going to start this week with the modern fire starting tools, and then next week we will go into traditional and primitive uses for making fire. So I'm going to show you what we're going to be working with today, and it's really hot and very dry here in Idaho, so I'm not going to create a full-blown fire, and I am using an old tire rim here in the driveway just to keep it controlled. It's a little breezy and I don't want to start the state or national forest on fire today. So we're just going to keep it small and keep it short and sweet here and show you the basics so that you know how to use some of these tools that are on the market today. So I'm going to shut this off and we're going to go over and I'll show you the tools and then I will show you how to use each of them. Okay, thanks for joining me and I'll be right with you. Okay guys, I have my pack there, and here we have what you would call a fire striker. It's a ferrocerium or a ferro rod with a striker. Okay, I'll show you how to use that then. Those you can pick up just about in any sporting goods store, but campingsurvival.com and bhkoutdoors.com and Wilderness Outfitters, which is the pathfinderschool.com, also carries them. I'll have links at the end of the video so that you can connect with these folks. This here is a magnesium and ferro rod together made with an elk antler, and this is custom made by MontanaAntlerCraft.com. Great item, guaranteed fire, and really makes a nice gift for your hunter and outdoorsman or woman. And again, you can find them at MontanaAntlerCraft.com. Now, this beauty was custom made by my husband, hence the heart, you see that. This is a fire striker, and this works great with flint or quartz. Of course, you have your handy dandy lighter. And I have 2 cigar tins here. They have char in them, so I will show you how to utilize that and light your fires. Now I'm going to bring you over here. I'm going to shut this off real quick so there's not a whole lot of movement. Now, as I mentioned, I'm going to use this old tire rim and do the fire here so I can contain it. This is just dried grass thrown in there. Now, this is an easy time to find dried things. It's summertime. Your bigger concern is lighting the forest on fire this time of year because it gets really dry. So definitely mind good old Smokey the Bear, and the fire warnings when you're out. Emergency situations, I would definitely consider at this time lighting a fire, by water if it's a necessity. Like right now, I mean, it's almost 100 degrees here today, and the mornings were 40 degrees, so it's chilly. But I'm going to show you some other things that are really good for starting fires and give you some tips for wintertime fire starting. Hopefully you can see this stuff. This piece here is a piece of bark that is covered in tree sap. We are surrounded by pine trees, so it makes it real easy to find sap. Sap is a fantastic fire starter. The other thing is pine cones. We have ground squirrels, and they are often eating the pine cones to get to the pine nuts. And if you find piles of the pine cone laying around, that's really good tinder also. And then you also have your dried pine nettles. Those are fantastic fire starters. And these little twig branches are really good. Now this came off a dead limb, but you find twigs this size even on a live tree. They're small, they might be wet, but they're really good tinder because they will dry out really fast in the heat of a fire. So that's what you want to start with to get your bird's nest, as we call it. The other thing that's really good is this fungus on the tree branches. Another really good fire starter. And then we have what we call, this is lichen, but it is also referred to as old man's beard. Trying to stay out of the shadows here, sorry about that. Okay, so you have that, and I have just some dead branches sitting here. Like I said, I don't want to get a full-blown fire going, but I am going to show you how to stack them once you get your fire going. Now, I'm going to move over here, and this is going to be a little tricky in trying to do this myself. So I'm going to try to get the camera down where you can see how to utilize these tools and everything. And what I'm going to do is move this here. Bear with me on the movement. Okay, I'm going to focus the camera. Bear with me, I want to jack this one leg here so it's kind of forcing it to tilt. Okay, there we go. And also not getting that camera thrown in the fire. A little bit too much. Bear with me here. Alright, there we go. Now, you have your bird's nest. That is your bird's nest. I'm going to get my knife out and pull out a piece of char. Here's my tin, here's my char. You can see my char in here. I'm gonna get a piece of char out and stick that in the center of my fire here, or of my bird's nest, okay? That is what will really ignite fast. Now that it's dry, so that whole grass will light up nice with it being as dry as it is. But in the wintertime, you got a lot more struggles because everything's wet. It could have rained, it could be snow on the ground, so you want to look underneath the trees for dry stuff, and fallen trees, the roots. If you dig in under the roots and start digging with your knife, you'll find some dry tinder, and the roots of a tree hold a lot of the sap. So, excuse me, that's a good avenue to start. Now, like I mentioned in my radio show, you've got your lighter. A lighter's great. It's a surefire fire, no pun intended. But this could run out of fuel and could be completely useless to create a fire for me. So in my pack, and as I mentioned on my radio show, it is essential to carry at least 3 of your most important tools. So like knives, I make sure I have multiple knives and tools in my pack. I make sure I have 3 different forms of starting a fire, because if one fails and you don't have backup, you're toast. And with starting a fire, I feel that is one of your most important necessities, is being able to start a fire. For one, you need to stay warm, you need to stay dry, and you need to be able to sterilize your water. Out in the wilderness, you never drink water unless you have a filtration system, or you can sterilize your water by boiling it. If it's a running stream, it doesn't matter. It still could have contaminants in it, so you don't take chances like that. So you want to make sure that you have multiple ways of starting a fire, and you also want to make sure you know how to use these multiple ways of starting a fire. Having them in your pack is great, but if you don't know how to use them, you're really no further ahead. So I'm going to show you how to use these, and hopefully you can see. Okay, here we have your standard fire starter. Okay, and what you do is you take, you can see the sparks flying. Okay, so now you get your sparks down towards your fire. Now that did light. There we go. Now you notice that slip, but you got to keep nursing it. That's not going to stay lit unless you keep working it. So you got to keep blowing it, and that's blowing in my face, but you still, if you're out in a survival situation, you got to keep nurturing it. There we go, we got flames. Okay, so now we got a fire. I'm going to move this back a touch. All right, now this dry tinder is really good and will light right away. So you can throw some of that on there. Keep that going. You'll hear the pine nettles. Sorry about the movement. You'll hear the pine nettles. You got to keep your fire going. You can kind of TP these sticks and keep your tinder on top. Okay. Now I know that there we go. Okay. But you TP these sticks on top. And you keep your fire going, and you always make sure before you start your fire that you've got enough tinder and sticks to keep her going. Okay, so you got your fire. All right, now that was your fire striker. But if you can TP your sticks and keep your fire like this, this is a really good way to keep your fire going. Okay, just like such. Now, that was quick and easy, but notice you do have to blow on it, you do have to nurture it, and even though you might get a little bit of smoke coming out of that bird's nest, that doesn't mean it's going to light. You got to blow it until it actually flames up. You'll see it the smoke getting bigger, and then finally it'll flame up on you, and you've got your fire. So now you can boil your water, now you can stay warm and dry. Okay, so there you have it. That's a fire striker. Now, I'm going to show you something a little different over here. We're just going to let that burn itself out. I don't want to nurture that and have that do any more today because of it being so hot and dry here. All right, now, you can see that dark spot there. I was messing around with the magnesium a little earlier. Okay, this is the magnesium rod. Here's your magnesium, this is your ferrocerium. And you just shave the magnesium off. And not every fire starting method works real fast, but these two that I'm showing you today are really nice. They make it easy to start fires. They are your modern choices. Like I said, a lighter's good, but you could run out of fuel, so it's definitely best to have something else as a backup, and these are the ones I choose. This magnesium will light when it's wet, so it's good for your winter rainy days. You know, you could be out fishing or hunting and need to get warm or get lost and you need to stay warm for the night, so these are definitely good choices. Now you got your pile of magnesium. There you go. Your magnesium instantly lights itself, so right there would be your form of fire. Now, and you also see why you want to have it in your char and in your bird's nest right away, because it lights, but it lights fast. So you get it in there with your char and start blowing on that and you'll have an instant fire. So these are definitely really good choices for quick fire starting methods, and I will show you the flint and steel next week. I do not have a good piece of quartz to utilize with that right now. Not in my pack anyway, shame on me. But I wanted to show you those, and we will work on storing char and showing you char. I don't know if I have any more in here. Yeah, I have a little bit more in here, but next week when we start the fire, I'm going to show you how to make char and show you some other things that are good for utilizing and getting your fires going. But it's so important. Fire could not be, I think, is your most important survival tool, and being able to, knowing how to start a fire and how to keep your bird's nest. If you don't have a good tight and enough material to start your fire, you may have one chance and you get your fire started, but you don't have enough to keep it going. There's just a lot of things involved, and you want to make sure that when you're in an emergency situation that you can stay calm and that you can also be able to know what to get and gather and know how to get your fire going. So these are two really good and useful tools to carry, and you see how small they are. You could carry these in your pocket. A knife and this in your pocket, you know, right there you've got really good safety items. So that's why I'm showing you my top 10 items I carry and the importance of them and the importance of having them no matter where you go, because you just don't know. So that concludes series number 2 and our modern fire starting methods. And then next week we'll go into some of the more traditional styles, and I may even be able to introduce you to my husband's new product. So we'll have to see how things go. But thank you so much for watching, and sorry for the movement. I appreciate you joining me, and I hope that you feel that these are useful videos. I would love to hear your feedback, and if you have questions or topics that you'd like discussed, please don't hesitate to ask me. And would love, if this is something useful for you, if you'd pass it along to your friends. My goal with my Mountain Women Journals and my YouTube channel and my radio show is to inspire people to live the simple life and to know how to survive in the outdoors. So I want to be able to share my knowledge of all skills in homesteading and traditional and primitive living. So I would be thrilled that you feel I am worthy to share around. So definitely tell your friends. And I thank you so much for your time today, and you guys take care and come back next week for number 3. God bless.